Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here, and we've got a lot more information about Rosa 2 and a lot of the changes for the game through TLIDB. And so I wanted to go and make a little video here that covers not only how does Rosa 2 work, but some end-game theorycraft builds. Because I think this character is going to be incredibly strong this season, and there's going to be multiple different paths you can take. I've already seen a lot of people talk about how expensive it's going to be to play this character this season, but I think that with having so many different options and ways to play, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to go a different way than everybody else and potentially save some FE as you try to progress your character. So let's just hop right into it. Now, the way that Rosa 2 works is she basically has two modes. Mode 1 is Mystic Mercury. Every time you attack, you're going to gain 10%, you're consuming 10% of your mana, and you're gaining 10 Mercury value. We think that likely the Mercury value goes up to 100, and then you can only consume mana this way. So nothing else will consume your mana. You don't lose mana any other way unless you have something later in the talents. And so this is the only way to do it. Now, you also get the bonuses to spell damage apply to attack damage as well. So you're kind of just a spell blade. Now, the second mode is the Realm of Mercury, and you're going to lose 40 Mercury value per second, and you're going to get attack speed and elemental damage per 10% unsealed mana. So you get up to 30% attack speed, 30% added elemental damage, and every single attack is going to recover 20% of your unsealed mana. And this is the only way that you can recover mana, which is a little bit scary because you can't have mana regen, you can't have other sources giving you mana back at all. It is only through the Realm of Mercury that you'll be able to recover mana at all. And yeah, that's very important to remember for later on. Now, the first kind of like the next basically talent you get at level 45 is Baptism of Purity. And this is going to be kind of your AoE thing. You kind of see like the giant circle. This is the Realm of Mercury active that you can see. And what happens is when you're in the Realm of Mercury, it's going to like kind of keep track of how much damage you've dealt to the highest rarity enemy. And it's going to hit all enemies that are in the big circle for that amount of damage every half second. But then it is going to forget how much damage you did. And so as long as you keep hitting enemies, you're going to keep blasting them with the baptism, and it's just going to kind of like feed off of itself and just keep like nuking down enemies, which is pretty cool. The highest you can get this up to is 55% of the damage dealt. It's not really clear whether or not the baptism will kind of count itself in the time window, but probably not. Now, you also apply Scorch, Numb, or Frostbite, depending on the highest elemental damage you do. Numb and Frostbite are pretty much like old hat. They just like, you know, increase the damage taken or increase like kind of a chill effect. Whereas Scorch is a special effect. It's like one of the only ways I think players can get this. And it reduces the res of a target by 25%, which is pretty cool. It makes fire pretty appealing in this case. Now, for the first choice talents you get, you can either choose Cleanse Filth, where in the realm, 25% of incoming damage now goes to your mana. And then for every 1,000 mana, you're going to have more damage done, up to 80%, which requires you to have a lot of mana, like 20,000 mana. This is just the first option. Now, the second option here is Boundless Sanctuary. Now, for every certain amount of mana, you're going to get more realm area, and it can get up to like 100% bigger to make that circle really, really big. And then for each enemy in the circle, you're going to get increased damage all the way up to like 80% or so at like level 3, which is pretty standard. You also gain Mercury value now on defeat, so this can help you keep the Realm of Mercury active longer. Now, the final set of talents is kind of like where builds are kind of going to be defined. And both of these are designed to help you keep the Realm of Mercury up permanently. First one here, Utmost Devotion. You can now consume mana in other ways. So you can consume it like by burning mana, by spending mana on your skill, all sorts of stuff. And when you consume that mana, it will give you a percentage of your Mercury value. So on average, probably like 2,800 will be like the normal amount here you get. So every 2,800 mana you spend, you're gonna get 10% Mercury value. Now, when mana is below 10%, you're not going to consume mana anymore. But, you know, that's besides that, if you're below 10%, you're probably in trouble. Now, every 1000 mana, you're going to get 10% mercury value up to like probably about 300% on average here. And this can increase your mercury value from 100 mercury to probably about 400 mercury value. And this makes it so that as long as you're consuming 2800 every second, you're going to be gaining 40 mercury value. And so you can just keep in the realm permanently, which is very good. You want to stay in the realm. Now, mercury also gains increasing elemental damage, which is just pretty insane. Pretty much just like the more mana you have, the higher your mercury value will be, the higher the percentage of damage would be. And so if you actually get this to a rank 5, you're going to be getting 140% multiplier here if you've capped out this number, which is, you know, going to require a lot of mana stacking, which, you know, is maybe not all that easy as it was last season. Now, the other option is Born to Cleanse. This is going to make it so that you actually have less mana restoration in the realm. So instead of recovering 20% of your mana per attack, you're only going to be recovering 14%. But Mystic Mercury now gives you 25% increased elemental damage, or additional elemental damage. And Mystic Mercury now persists when you're in the realm at 40% effectiveness. So you're going to keep 10% multiplicative damage at all times. And you also are going to be able to like spend mana and consume mana from having both Mystic Mercury and having the Realm of Mercury active at the same time. So as long as you attack fast enough, about 10 times a second, you can pretty much just stay in the realm permanently, which is a very good thing. Now, this also adds weapon damage here. I want to note that this is weapon damage, not attack damage, which is kind of bad for some things because this does not count increasing damage from other sources. If you get like added damage to attacks, that is not going to get multiplied here. And this is kind of like a little complicated, but we kind of broke it down here a little bit. So you're going to gain 14% mana per attack. You're going to consume 4% mana per attack. You're going to gain 4 mercury per attack, and you're going to lose 40 mercury per second. So as long as you attack 10 times a second, you'll be good to go. And this is, if you have like your mostly weapon focus, this is about a 58.4% damage boost. Now, so what we know about Rosa is that she's attack focused, she's elemental damage, benefits from mana stacking, and cannot spend or restore mana normally. Now, the one thing that's kind of weird is you might be forced to self-cast because pretty much all of the wording on the stuff says using, which just typically means that you manually press the button to attack yourself, which is kind of a red flag, not very good thing. But hopefully activation mediums do count here. We'll have to see. But yeah, at least having to attack is kind of a bad thing. Now, there's kind of two different options for going here. I don't think right off the bat you're really going to be mana stacking all that much, but you could potentially go right into it. But if you're not mana stacking, you're going to get about, my head's a little bit in the way here. It's about 121% damage multi here, assuming like you're actually getting most of your damage from your weapon. Whereas if you are mana stacking, you're going to get about 224% damage multiplier, which is just pretty good. And this does require you to get quite a bit of mana, though. As you can see here, you're getting 80% damage if you get to 20,000 mana, and another 80% damage at 30,000 mana. That's a lot of mana. Like endgame builds last season on like Thea 1 were getting like 40,000 mana, but they were using Archmage gloves, which kind of got nerfed this season. So we'll see how easy it is. We do have more mana options now in terms of, you know, all over the place in terms of stats and stuff, and in terms of fates as well. Now, to give you an example here with a different class, Thea 3 gets about a 197% multi. Let's move to the other side here real quick. 197% multi, assuming you have 4 desecration, which is like not investing in your mechanic at all. You get like 20% erosion bonus, 10% for pawn. You call elites, pre-hit call elites. You get 15% damage from sins, and then all these stacks from desecration. So we can kind of see that like Rosa, when she's kind of juiced up and has a lot of mana stacking, is pretty powerful. But if you're not mana stacking, you're gonna be like weaker than, you know, Thea 3, which is kind of like the best reference here because it's the most recent class. So it kind of just give you an idea of what to expect in terms of power level. Now, in terms of mana stacking, how are we gonna stack up all our mana? Well, one of the big items here is Archmage's Hands, and the reason for this is because you get additional max mana, which is its own multiplier. Now, previously, this would go up to 100%. I think it's like 120% when corroded, but that's not the case anymore. This also does fix your cost of your skill at 100, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. This also does give you additional spell damage for mana that you have up to 100%. This corrodes to 150. Pretty interesting and good glove. I think it's gonna be a very popular item next season. Also, we do have Phantom. Phantom is pretty neat because this gives you now percentage mana. If you get that corroded, it goes up to max mana. Also gives you the ability to have an aura as well, which is really good. Just free aura on amulet, gives you skill levels if you're sealing down your life, and yeah, just pretty good. It's like very wonderful amulet to get, be very popular. Now we also have compensatory life. And this is very interesting because this used to give us some life bonuses, but now it's just giving us more max mana. Mana regen doesn't really do anything for us. The spell damage is very nice. Once again, all of our attack stuff does scale with spell damage as well. The mana regen does nothing for us once again, but then we get spell amplification where we're not at low life, which is really a win at low life. Sorry. So this is really good because compensatory life and Phantom used to kind of compete with each other because you'd want to seal as much life as possible for Phantom, but compensatory life wouldn't want you to because you wouldn't be able to get your aura active. And now they work together, which is very nice. And you get up to a level 40 spell amplification aura if you get the corrosion here, and you get up to 432% spell damage or 96% max mana. There's really a lot of good corrodes on this belt, so I'm going to assume we're going to see this thing get corrupted a whole bunch next season. Now, we also do have the ability to stack some more mana with these new fates. So getting like 8% mana per micro fate is pretty decent. And we might even see some like shenanigans with like Star Trail or something like that to get some more mana going as well. Now, another part of having all this mana is we want to consume mana. Now, normally we can't consume mana because of our traits. However, if we do take the final trait that allows us to consume mana, we want to consume a lot of mana. If you remember, it was 2,800 or 2,800 mana per second. And so there's a couple different ways you can consume mana. Mana boil is going to burn like 3% of your max mana at a time. If you have like 30,000 mana, that's like 900 mana. It's not really enough. And then Archmage's Gloves kind of comes back here because it's a problem. Because Archmage is going to fix your mana cost at best 100 mana, which is really bad because if we need to attack 19 times a second, the 100 mana cost, that's a lot of attacks. And also like that we can't use channel skills or anything. So just very bad. And this roll could be way worse. This could be like a 5 and there's just no way you're going to consume enough mana. So there's other things that we could potentially use. So Moonstrike is an attack here that has a percentage mana cost. And when you have it all full length, it's going to be about 1.61% mana cost. We can also get additional mana cost from Insight. And there's some other parts in the tree there that's going to increase our mana costs, which can be pretty good. Now note, if you're using Archmage Gloves, this part doesn't matter. It's just going to be whatever the Archmage Glove says the cost is. That's what it's going to be. Now, we recently found out about this thing here. So this is a new legendary medium talent where you can consume 4% of your current mana when casting main skills. This does increase our spell damage as well, which is all of our damage, which is really nice. And we can also go and get flat skill cost and rings, which is going to be pretty nice, assuming you want to consume your mana like crazy. So I think with this, especially because it doesn't appear that this is a limit 1 talent, you're probably just going to be able to like stack up getting this on the tree and then getting this like twice or maybe 3 times on the on your slates, and you're pretty much going to be able to consume like 16% of your mana, maybe even more, every single time you cast your skill, and you're just gonna be good to go. Absolutely just be blasting, consuming 16 but getting back 20 per attack. You're pretty much just consuming mana like nuts, which is great. Now, why do you want to consume mana? Well, we have this shield here, the Glacial Caster Shield, and this has the line at the bottom, adds 13 to 15 to 23 to 26 physical damage to attacks and spells for every 1,000 mana consumed recently. Stacks up to 200 times, which means you're getting about 3,000 to 5,000 physical damage per 200,000 mana consumed recently, which is a lot of damage. That is like as much or more than most strength stacking builds get, even at endgame from a legendary. This also does have sealed mana compensation. It has max mana. All of that stuff's really great. Some of the corruptions up here are really crazy, like 60% sealed compensation, increasing that damage even further. It just kind of gets bonkers. So this could be really good. This could definitely be a big option. If you're planning to consume mana, definitely an end game piece of gear. You could also go and do a shield sequence called Enchanted Spring. It's going to give you 10 to 20 physical damage to attacks and spells for every 950 mana consumed recently. It's going to stack up to 200 times, about 2,000 to 4,000 physical damage at 190,000 mana consumed recently. And that is just a really good thing. It's a lot of damage, maybe like less than the other options, but if you really don't want to use a legendary and instead want to use a non-legendary, it's kind of going to work for you. There's some other good things that we can get from consuming mana. And one of them here, I'm just going to move to the other side again, is the Tyrant's Iron Fist. This gives us 5% critical strike rating and critical strike damage for every 880-ish mana that you consume recently, which means that like 200,000 mana consumed recently, you're going to be getting like 1136% crit rating and damage, which means that you're getting like that's like such a huge multiplier. That's like almost 12 times multiplier from these gloves, assuming you hit crit cap. Yeah, that's a lot. That's just so much damage. Absolutely just bonkers levels of damage. And the corruptions on these are also pretty good. More max mana and just making it so you get even more critical strike damage. It's just kind of ridiculous. Like if you get this best roll here on 200,000 mana consumed recently, that's 285 stacks, which is 1,428 critical strike rating and damage. This almost fixes crit for you altogether, and pretty much like, you don't need critical strike damage anywhere else, which means your hero memories can have a lot better stats on them. Now, if you're not consuming mana, the other option would be to go and stack for Mind Focus. So it's going to turn Focus Blessings into physical damage. So at 15 Focus Blessing and 30,000 mana, we're looking at about 4,500 physical damage to everything. If you remind yourself, if you're consuming mana here on the shield, we're getting like 3,000 to 5,000. And so here with the Mind Focus, we're getting about just 4,500 just for doing nothing, just for having Focus Blessings, which is a pretty good thing as well. Now, other stuff we could potentially do, oh, there's a duplicate slide here, is use Israel's Laws. And so what this does is it gives us additional cold damage for every stack of Focus Blessing. So for up to like 15 focus blessings, you can see how that's going to be a lot of damage. We also get critical strike damage, which helps out a little bit there. It's not going to give you nearly as much critical strike damage as the other gloves. And we can use Bunch, which is going to give us more critical strike damage. So this is going to be a really powerful combination here for stacking focus blessings. Now, talking about some trees and some thought process here for an endgame build. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm going to go towards consume or not, but it's kind of just a consume setup that I threw together. I think the first tree we're going to pick is Goddess of Knowledge. Just pretty obvious here. We're picking up Focus Blessing on hit, picking up Insight for additional spell damage, and skill cost, which is really good for us. And it's kind of like a breakdown of what we get from this. We get like 192% damage, 36% mana, a focus blessing, about 5% movement. One thing to point out here is you do need to take like 2 points in either here or over here. This gives you a little bit more movement speed. This gives you a little bit of spell damage. You don't really want to take these points because it gives you minus cost, which would be bad. Next up for the second tree, we're going to be going Arcanist here. We're going to get the mana main talent. Just makes it so your damage is taken from mana before life. We don't necessarily like, this is for kind of the consume setup. And so the other option there would be going and getting the, focus, stacking talent instead. But this gives us a ton of mana, a whole bunch of stuff just all over the place. And there's just like a lot of really good options here. Just kind of a general breakdown here. We're getting like for 31 to 41 points, you get like up to 108% increased mana, some flat mana, attack speed, mana compensation, damage from mana, spell damage, spell cost increase, and we get this 4% consume mana when main skill is used, and we get 8% additional spell damage as well. Just absolutely ridiculous. Really, really good combination for us. And Arcanist is looking really, really good. I think for any character that wants to pretty much play Rosa 2, Arcanist is pretty much a must take because it has mana, the main talent, but also has the focus stacking as well, which is just super duper good. Now, the next tree I want to talk about here is something I haven't seen a lot of people talk about yet, which is Sentinel. I think Sentinel is almost too good. It's just so overloaded. It's kind of crazy. You get so much attack and spell block here, even some attack speed as well and some damage. But the real juice is at the top of the tree here. So I think all 4 of the potential main talents are just really, really good. Automatic upgrade is going to give you hardened on melee skill use. It also gives you additional melee damage. And once again, this wording use comes in. If you have automatic upgrade right now and you automate a melee skill, you do not get hardened. So part of why I don't think that we're going to be able to automate stuff. Defensiveness gives us block ratio, which is just really good if you're block capped. Big defense in there. Full defense also gives us protection against damage over time. So if you have issues with damage over time murking you, it's going to be really, really good for you to get. And then Last Stand pretty much takes the whole block idea and just flips the table right over. So for every 3% attack or spell block chance, you get 2% additional damage up to 90%. This is the biggest damage from a main talent that I think you can get, except for maybe ones that stack up like Gale or something like that. And so just a big freaking number. And this tree alone for 26 to 32 points is going to give you about 34 attack block, 52 spell block, 166 spell just damage in general, 39 attack speed, and you have a 50% chance to gain a random blessing on block, which would be pretty useful to give you those tenacity and agility blessings. Now the last tree, I think everybody knows that this thing is going to be ridiculous, is the Lich tree. This is going to give us a whole ton of mana, damage, attack speed. There's some minus costs that you might want to be careful about. There's plus all skills, which is still really good, and a ton of mana compensation. Now for mana compensation, I haven't really talked about this yet. We don't really want to consume, we don't really want to go and seal our mana, I don't believe, unless we're focus stacking. I don't think it matters. But we want to go and seal our life because we want to stack it up for the Phantom. So we want to get as low as we possibly can to get as many skill levels. And so Lich, I think, is going to help out with that. Off the beaten track also makes it so that the more supports you add to an aura, the cheaper it becomes, because instead of a support having a like a multiplying effect, has a depleting effect. So it would times it by 95% as opposed to 110% each support you add on, which is pretty crazy. And Lich just gives you like for 26 points, 36% mana, attack speed, some damage, some skills, and mana comp. It's really something that like basically every build is going to want. I've put Sentinel at the top there. I should say Lich, but yeah, it's pretty good shit. Now, you're probably wondering at this point, all right, Don, you talked a whole bunch about trees, talked about gear. What skill are we going to use? Well, that's kind of the thing. I think that there's going to be a lot of different skills that you're going to see on this particular character. It's going to be kind of crazy because like when you think about it, you're just getting like tons of damage for just existing, having mana, stacking it up, attacking, all these sorts of things. I think you use a lot of different skills. I think Berserking Blade can be pretty cool because you have like huge AoE. I think it's called Frost Spike. Pretty much shoots out a ton of projectiles here. And I think that there's just a lot of different ways we could play. And I'm not necessarily sure which one's going to be the best. All I know is that we probably need to attack a whole bunch and you can't use a channeled skill. So we have to figure it out. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you excited about this character? Does this hype you up a little bit? Like there's so much stuff to do here. I don't really know where to take it next, but there really is just so much to do with Rosa 2. And I think it's going to be a little bit OP, but a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful season start. We'll be playing Rosa 2 right from the first day, and keep your eyes out on heroic.gg for some updated guides for leveling as well. Hope you guys have a good one. We'll see you again soon.